قل هل يستوي الذين يعلمون والذين لا يعلمون إنما يتذكر أولو الألباب.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to a new episode of your program, The Life of the Scholars. And I'd like to welcome my guests, Muhammad and Mamadou. Last week we talked about Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, or last time we talked about Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, and we explore a lot of things about his life, special things that made him very different than anybody else. As Imam Ahmad rahimahullah considered him an authority. And Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah used to call him the fifth rightly guided caliph rahimahullah ta'ala, Khalifa al-Rashid al-Khamis. When it comes to his leadership, he was very different than anyone else. He had a very clear goals in life. Once he said to his teacher that I had a goal to be like my uncle, and I managed to do that. I have the knowledge. I had a goal to marry the daughter of the Khalifa at that time, Fatima, and I achieved that. Inna li nafsan tawaqa. My ambition is very high. And also, I'm interested in, he was interested to spread justice, to be a Khalifa, and he said, I became Khalifa. And there is one thing left for me, which is to go to Jannah. And that's something I'm planning, inshallah, to go to. As I said, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, rahimahullah ta'ala, his knowledge was based on a pure knowledge. He didn't base his knowledge on innovations or philosophical argument. It's based on Quran and Sunnah and the narrations of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum and great scholars, and he documented that. If you look at the methods that he followed to make this change, to be able to change the economy of his country, which is a country stretched all the way west to North Africa to Algeria, Morocco, and stretch and covered the Arab Peninsula, a Sham area, which is today Jordan, Palestine, Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, big portion of Iran, good portion of Turkey. Can you imagine this whole entire land? He managed to raise the economy to the extent that he couldn't find a person who deserved the zakat. That's amazing accomplishment in a short period of time, in just a couple of years. So if you look at what kind of method that he followed to make the change in general in the society, number one, setting priorities. So he had priorities, and he set his priority correct. What he want to start with first. Also, he made sure that the change that he want to do is confined by the Sharia. They told him, for example, that he said that the Christian Jews at that time complained about the previous caliph raised the taxes. And they said, we had a contract with Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan long time ago, your great-grandfather basically, who promised us this amount of taxes, and now you guys raise it. Yeah, I know how the inflation of the currency, things change, but still, he said, if this is the deal, if this is what's written, we should go by that. They said to him, but that's not going to work. They cheating, it's the game. He said, I would rather to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala free from cheating and let them deal with their lying. When Samarkand came to him and they told him that the Muslim army entered the city without giving us a warning. You guys give 3 days warning. He said, is that true? He asked the judge, and the judge said yes. He asked the whole entire Muslim army to leave the country, to leave the city, after years of entering the city. And when they left out the city, they gave them 3 days notice. And the leader said at that time, I can't do that because they are in the top of the mountain. If we give them notice, lock the doors, nobody going to be able to enter that castle. That's why we never give them the notice. He said, that's not a justification. That's cheating. The rules are the rules. And because of that, the whole entire city of Samarkand entered Islam at once. Because they said, there is no other nation will do that. There is no people will do that. That must be a just and fair nation that we allowed them to share with us our life. And we would love to have them in our city. So this man, the change that he made sure that he's governed by the ruling of the Sharia. Also, he spread Sunnah and eliminated Bid'ah. And that's his method. Every day he said, I revival of Sunnah and I will end the wrong practices, Bid'ah practices. Also, he paid attention to the spread of education and he honored educators. He gave them money, he gave them support, he raised their position in the society. He cared a lot about education. And I think that's one of the reasons that helped his society to grow. One of the things that you look at his life, okay, he cared a lot about establishing salah, himself, his family, people around him. One of the things that he cared for is preventing public money from being wasted and the control of the spending over things that's not important, and elevate the economy, giving an open market, giving opportunity to people to grow. And he cared a lot about what we call today the middle class, to make sure that that middle class grow. And by that growth of the middle class, the whole entire society grow. He cared a lot about spreading da'wah. He supported the du'at. He sent them. He sponsored them. One of the things that he cared for, minority rights. You know, the slaves, the Christian, the Jews. That's one when he died, everyone walking in his janazah, even the Christians, the Jews, and everybody in the society, because he cared for the youth, he cared for women's rights, he cared for the animal rights, even as I said, mentioned before, that regulated how much you can put load over the camel or the cow, and how many hours it works, and things of that nature. To me, he put a social service that basically he said, it's not fair that we take tax from people, especially the people of the book, when they can make money, and after they became old and can't work, they cannot produce anything, the government don't pay them back. So he started giving them as he gave the Muslims, because they're citizen in the society, in the country. And since then, this became the practice. So there is so many things that he changed. He cared for the minorities' rights. One thing I really also think that the reason for him to make that change is he started with himself. He started with his family. He didn't ask the people to change. He asked himself and his family to change first. Then he asked the people to change. And that's something that's very clear about him. He gave a lot of freedom of religion, of freedom of speech. People to speak their mind, to do what they want. And that led to an open society. Open society grow quickly. A controlled society and community doesn't grow. It's something we need to learn to make our community more open. There's more space for people to breathe, to express their views and opinions. And he gradually introduced change. He doesn't want things to go overnight. He knows that's going to take time, even if he doesn't see it himself, but next generation will enjoy. So these are some of the points that I think was very clear in his methods of creating a change in the society. And that will lead to many lessons we can learn from his life. So let's start with one before we go to our break. So what you guys have?
Yes. I feel like you could just do the whole program season on Umar ibn Aziz.
Absolutely.
Absolutely amazing. I think something that's really stood out for me is that we are an ummah of knowledge, and however, this seems like his knowledge led him to be just. His knowledge was tied in with justice. The more he learned how to be with people, and how it was his religious obligation to care for people. And I find that really amazing. And also, this idea of promoting an open society.
Before we go past this part, justice, Muslim must play a major role in promoting social justice.
Yeah.
You know, there is a lot of problems when it comes, or challenges facing us in modern days today as humanity when it comes to social justice. There is no social justice in so many countries today. Even us in the Western society, there's so many things need to be challenged. You know, a lot of racism against the minorities. You know, we all heard about what happened in modern latest news, and you know, and discrimination against black, against women, against minority people. This is something we should stand for. We should be against any form of discrimination to any kind of people based on whatever references, in my opinion.
I think
that's something I think we should learn from Umar Abdul Aziz. That's just nation or strong nation. Unjust nation or weak nation. Just society is a strong society. Just community is a strong community. Even sometimes I feel inside our community there is no social justice. You know, inside the community there is a level of discrimination. There is a level of not fair opportunities that are provided for everybody. And that's something we should promote, we should adopt, we should support such organization. And that's something will be very interesting to see the Muslim community play more major role in this area.
I think just for a modern example of what I can say, that when your Islam leads you to justice, the two modern examples we have is Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X.
Very good.
Their Islam, it was their Islam that led them to fight against discrimination and to fight for social justice. And I think that's a very harsh, very kind of, that should waken us up, that your Islam, if you call yourself a true Muslim in the sense of the word, it is establishing justice wherever you are.
Absolutely, I agree with that. So let's have a quick break and we'll come back inshallah ta'ala to continue our discussion and listen to what Muhammad have to say. So stay tuned and we'll see you inshallah in a little bit. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to your program, The Life of the Scholars. We were talking about lessons that we can learn from the life of Umar Abdul Aziz, rahimahullah ta'ala. And Muhammad was about to say something. Go ahead, Muhammad.
Yes, let me say in the beginning that I'm still impressed about the stories you told us about Sayyidina Umar. They were really interesting and I was really impressed, and still like cannot believe that we had such kind of great person in history like that. But actually the part I like most was about like taking Sayyidina Umar, when he took a model for him since he was young, so like he was his uncle, take him as a model. It was something really good about that. Like when we take that as a kind of a reflection to our lives, like we are going to think of ourselves. Are we going to be models for our children as parents, as like husbands and like teachers and whatever? So we have to think of ourselves as models to such kind of young people, like make them like persist for their goals and seek for the peak. I mean, like to see like there is no limit for their dreams. Like,
Very good.
You know?
Actually, also us, we should look for models. You know, a lot of time, yes, we have Rasulullah as model, but it doesn't, there's no problem to have other models as well in life.
Yeah.
And when you look at the model, someone that you look up to and you want to copy, you know, in this area, if you study any research or anyone wrote about the habits or the reason behind successful people in life, one common thing between all successful people in life, that they have models in their life.
Sure.
They have people that they look up to.
Yeah.
So we should have in our life an individual that I look up to and I want to model that person. And all of this did that. I will take from that another point, which is I think very interesting. His has very high ambitions. And I think that started from the early age when his mother told him, you will be even better than Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. That reminds me of Hind, the mother of Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan. She was walking with him in Mecca, and a poet and Meccan person, Qurashi, he saw her son, and he said, your son looks very intelligent. Take good care of him. I think when he grow up, he will rule the Arabs. يملك العرب. She looked at him, then she looked at her son, and she said, what a loser he's going to be if he's going to only rule the Arabs. I want him to rule the world. I don't want him to rule that's going to be a loser, just to rule the Arabs. That's not my goal.
This is
my
like
goal
pushing.
for him to rule the world. And he did, Muawiyah, at one time in his life. Radiallahu anhu arda. But when you have that kind of parents, when you have that kind of mother, that you know what, one always raise the bar high for you. It's different like when you tell your mother, you know, I want to this, you're going to fix the whole world. You know, every time you aim high, she puts you down. Or your wife, or your sister, or your society, or your friend. They always put you down. They don't let you think. Even they don't allow you to dream. You know, it's sad. And I think one of the reasons he became successful, it is because that opportunity, that he was always giving the opportunity to dream and to aim high. And that's something we should always aim high in our work, in our society. We're not trying to survive. We are trying to thrive. We not want to pass by. We want to lead. And that's what I can tell you, that sometimes good is not good enough. You always ask yourself, is it about being good or being great? There's a big difference between the two mindsets. Unfortunately, so many times what we do, we just to try to be okay. You know, kullu mashi, everything is fine. You know, it is inshallah khair. You know, we don't care, we just want to pass by. But this is not the mindset of Umar Abdul Aziz. Umar Abdul Aziz was trying to aim very high, is to be great, to be an excellent, to be exceptional. It's not just to be a good, it's not just to be a okay. And this attitude, if we can have it as a ummah, as a community, as a society, as a country, as individuals, we will be different. And our life will be different. And the result will be definitely different.
Yes, sure.
Very quickly, I want to share something also about him. That he always surrounded himself with people to advise him. If you notice, he got 10 people to advise him when he was a governor of Medina. When he became the governor of, or the caliph, he had Rabi'ah al-Ra'i to be around him to advise him. He had his chief police. He told him, your job is to protect me not from people. He said, so what am I protected from who? He said, from myself. He said, to protect me. Anytime you see me doing something wrong or abuse power, stop me, shake me. He wants always someone around him, the teacher in the early age, to remind him and support him. I wish that this is something we can do as a community, in our masjid, in our community, in our society. You know, surround ourselves with a group of people to advise us. You know, tell someone, hey, please, when you see me doing something wrong, come and give me an advice. Surrounding yourself with people who will advise you and correct you, it's a sign of strength, not a sign of weakness. And I think this is a very good lesson for us to learn.
Of course.
Yes, what else do you guys have?
I think another thing, just to reiterate, is having goals and not just stumbling through life.
Excellent.
Don't stumble through life. Why is it just feel, or don't be content. Why not, just don't say I want to be just good. I want to be the best at what I do. And I think if we had this mindset, things will change rapidly in our communities.
I like the first word that you said, goals.
Yeah.
You guys, what do you play sports?
Not enough, but yes.
What do you do? What do you play?
Football.
Football. What about you?
Yeah, football. Same.
Football.
Yeah.
Can you imagine you play football without goals? Yeah. Let's take the goals out. What do you think of that game?
It wouldn't be a game anymore.
It will be what? A boring game.
game.
That's
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
That's
Sure.
exactly how your life is without goals. Any life without goals is like this game without goal. It's a boring game. The moment you take the goals off in your life completely became a boring life.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have a direction. You didn't have a sense of direction. And you get lost. If you don't know where you want to go, you're never going to end up in the place that you want to go to, most likely. So having goals in life is very important. And goals has to be smart goals, specific. You can measure it. You time it. You're excited about it. You record them. You write them down. And you always focus. Once a man came to me and he said, it's interesting, I was giving a talk in a church in America. So the talk was Umar Abdul Aziz, the life of Umar Abdul Aziz. That was my talk in the church about him. And it was very interesting. They loved it. And a man came to me and said, Sheikh, I like your talk, and I want to share with you. When I was way younger than now, about 50 years ago, I wrote for myself 5 goals. I wrote it down and I put it in my wallet. And every time I want to make a major decision in my life, I take this paper out and I look at it and I said, is that decision going to help me to achieve my goal? These 5 goals. If yes, I do it. If not, I let it go. Focus. He said, I got all my goals 20 years ago. And some of it showed me the paper. One of it was to travel around the world, to have a house by the beach, stuff like that. Paid off. And it's interesting. When you have a goal in life, you focus, you accomplish things. I think one of the things that I like about this man, that he is a great leader. You know, in our community, in our society, in our organizations, in so many organizations I've seen, they have good managers, but they don't have good leaders. One of these was an excellent leader. He's an outstanding leader. You know, leaders, they don't practice power over people. They practice power with people. And there's a difference between the two. You know, a good leader, they don't react to change. They create change. Good leader, they don't tell, they sell. Good leader, they don't have employees. They have a team. Good leader, they don't struggle to explain. They inspire. They energize. You know, a leader, they also try, they don't take credit. They take responsibility. Leaders were people who make a difference in life. It's not about what they gain. It's about what they give. And that's what leadership is all about. And you can see this so clear in Umar Abdul Aziz rahimahullah's life. That's why Umar Abdul Aziz, his life was not about building a resume. It's about building a legacy. And really he did that, rahimahullah. What else we can learn?
Actually, what we can see, like, I feel like he combined between 2 important things, leadership and worship. Like,
very good, leadership and worship.
Yes, actually,
well
he wasn't only like a great leader, but he was like a very, really good worshiper. Specifically, when you told us your interesting stories about him, I took a walk or took a stroll down memory lane. I remember something about him. When he was dying, somebody asked him, like, you left nothing for your children, and what about the money, like, they earned from Fatima, I think. So he answered a very intelligent answer. Like, he said, for the good ones from my children, I wouldn't help him. Like, Allah will help him, and for the bad ones, I wouldn't help him with my money, you know. So I wouldn't give him my money. Like, if he's a bad person, I wouldn't give him money. But the good ones, Allah will help him. And this was something great. Good.
It's amazing also, one of the lessons that I think is very important for us to think about it. He was so busy. He's a student of knowledge, he's a scholar, he's a ruler, and all this, but he still managed to have a good time to spend with his family. His relationship with his wife is excellent. It's so close. They love each other. You know, and you can tell from many stories like that how they even express that love in words and actions and the way they look at each other, they talk to each other. You know, his children, he talked to them, he consulted them, he speaks to them, he listened to them, he was moved by them, he changed by his children. You know, this relationship between us and our children, our family, our spouses, it needs to be exist in our life. And that's very important. And I think it is very good point to learn from Abdul Aziz. Unfortunately, the episode come to an end, but there is so much we can learn from his life. And I hope that will inspire us to read more about him and to try to take him maybe as a model for us.
Of course, no doubt.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shower him with his mercy and all of us. This will bring to an end. Thank you very much for listening to us in this episode. And I would like to thank my guest and all the team here. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
قل هل يستوي الذين يعلمون